it's interesting because this latest album in the process, and even the one right before this, kind of went back to the process I did in school. And in the middle, the first and the last, there was an album where I did team up with band members, and then it actually wrote differently, like having the other influence of the drummer and the bass player and guitarist and whatnot. But I think that stuff influenced me, so that would have been a change. Is just more experience working with other people. More experience putting music out. I'd worked in between there. I'd worked with a manager for a bit. And I had my other cousins in music too, and I'd worked with him. So you keep getting constant influences on how to write music.
This is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, this is Kate Clover.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Hi, my name is Madeline Rose.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
It's Tim Howard here from Mike and the Mechanics.
Hello, I'm Amanda Lehman.
I'm Billy Harvey.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Casey Sampson from the band Twist Stop.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Mitchell.
Hey, guys, it's Matt here from the White Lakes.
You're listening to Almost Famous Magazine.
Come join us for this interview. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Hang right here on Almost Famous Magazine. Thank you so much for subscribing, sharing our videos, ringing the bell, all the great comments that you leave below. We really appreciate it, and you're helping this channel grow tremendously. Today, we are bringing you straight from Alberta, Canada, an alternative rocker known as Stonehocker, but his first name is Mark, and he's got a new single and album that came out this spring called Hello, Mr. Hyde. It's kind of an unfiltered journey through self-discovery and surrender. We have a lot to learn about him. So, Mark, welcome to The Hang.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're joining us. You know, we always start these in the same place with one easy question. You ready? Did music find you, or did you find music? And how did that journey start and get you to where you are today?
I guess music found me. I was kind of raised singing. Like my mom taught. I have sisters, and we used to grow up in church singing together. So as a little kid, we were like the special number at church. And we'd sit there and sing, and we'd have to practice ahead of time. She'd be playing the piano. So it's been going on a long time. Since I was little, all the way up till now. Well, and then even if you try to stop, it's one of those things that doesn't matter. It's like, no, I got to keep songwriting.
So yeah. What was that initial spark, though? I mean, you know, as a child, you were in the church choir. Sometimes, you know, parents make those things mandatory. But what was the kind of that spark that really fed you so that you made a conscious decision that this music thing lives and grows inside of me, and I have to spend my life getting it out there?
Maybe it was. I mean, I actually was songwriting as a little kid. I remember listening to music. I suppose I was listening to music, and just it was different. It wasn't just. I loved the idea of writing songs and singing them for people. And then when I graduated from high school, I got a guitar, electric guitar, and that was kind of it. Then I put my first band together and just started songwriting. But songwriting became something in my own life that I just do. Like, people journal because they're like, oh, I need to write about this issue in life, and I songwrite. I just write lyrics, and it just, I'll be hanging around, even just working other jobs or whatever, and music will just be, I'm like, oh, that would be a good tune. And it's annoying because you're working, but like, I got to stop and write this down. And so it's strange that it's always been something that's been a part of me. So I'm not sure if it ever specifically found me. Yeah.
Well, so you got that first guitar, you said, I think in high school, right?
Yeah.
From there, where did you take it? Right. So now you've got your songwriting, you've got that disruptive thing of writing down thoughts and ideas and lyrics. Now you got a guitar. You started a band. Walk me through that progression and where, you know, how it really started to go. Because honestly, music is something easy to quit if you're not going where you want to go. You obviously had something in you that was driving you.
You know what? So actually, I went to college for programming, of all things, which was helpful nowadays because I make my own website. I'm not a great website designer, but I have some base programming knowledge. And but I ditched that program to switch over to music recording because I was doing the music anyway. And so I switched into that, and I took a music recording class. And that was how my first albums actually came out, because I had access to this recording gear in a studio. And once I learned that process, then it was like, that really drove it. Like, now I was somebody who could, like, it just, I guess it all clicked in, how to make an album, how to write songs. So then, being in the music program for recording, you do other courses. You do songwriting courses, you do music history courses, keyboard courses, singing courses, whatever. They fill your program up. And so that helps too. I had there was even a music business course. So, and then I dove out into the world. And you know what? I did do music. Like, I did the albums when I was in school. And then you get out into the world, and I did get burnt out, I guess. Or I did stop for a little while, or just kind of like, no, I need a real job. I went and got real jobs. But there did hit a point recently for this album specifically where it was a big change, where I stopped working and was like, no, this is it. And it was actually just hitting mass depression and then coming out of it.
So you went through school, put together a band, you took all these classes, all that stuff. What was your writing style like then? Because obviously, and we're going to get to Mr. Hyde, what was it like then, and how has it evolved to where you are now? Because you've had a few albums out, but you've been through some stuff in life. So what was your music like then? And then we'll jump into the new album.
Back then it was, it's interesting because this latest album in the process, and even the one right before this, kind of went back to the process I did in school. And in the middle, the first and the last, there was an album where I did team up with band members, and then it actually wrote differently, like having the other influence of the drummer and the bass player and guitarist and whatnot. But I think that stuff influenced me, so that would have been a change, is just more experience working with other people, more experience putting music out. I'd worked in between there, I'd worked with a manager for a bit, and I had my other cousins in music too, and I'd worked with him. So you keep getting constant influences on how to write music. Nowadays, it's almost, I write a song, lyrics, verse, music, whatever. Sometimes it's music first, sometimes it's lyrics, but it comes together and it's done. And it's just naturally 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It just kind of hits there. It's like I've just kind of figured out how to put this piece together. Like, this is how they go, and they will be like this, and then it'll be done. Where I think the beginning stuff was neat, if anybody ever gets a chance to listen to it, because it's there is less rules. It's a bit more just go do what you want. The very first album was, I did not understand beats very well. I listen to it now, it's like, oh, my singing has evolved, probably the biggest throughout the albums. Guitar playing has evolved, but the rest of the song has evolved, like how to put a bass line together and how to put beats together. So yeah, I listened to the first one, I'm like, oh, this is very indie raw. Second one was good because I was at the school and I had access to all these musicians, and people I could get like the drum instructor, like, could you drum on this song? And so he came in. So it sounds good because there was other influences, but it was still not quite as honed, which is kind of neat to hear sometimes. And then, but yeah, when I went through there was a middle stint. The middle album was with a band, and that helped move it in a different way. So that's probably the biggest change. And then singing live, I sung a lot more live once I was in the band, and we did a lot of shows. And that, of course, changes you too, how you sing, how you put songs together, get that live experience.
Well, how about, so let's focus in, because I think this is for people getting to know you. I think this is really good. Let's talk about your new album, right? Okay. Hello, Mr. Hyde. And kind of what brought around not the music piece of it, but really what you're writing about. What is the theme? What is the content and context? You've been through a few things, as I understand, in life that have changed your perspective and your vision. Let's talk about that, because I'm looking to compare and contrast, right, between there and who you were then, mm-hmm. and what you had to say, and now who you are now, right? So tell us about Hello, Mr. Hyde. where the idea comes from, what you've been through, and how that's impacted your creativity?
So it is Hello, Mr. Hyde is like probably the most raw, emotional, personal album I've ever written. And it was scary when I did it because I was like, straight up, it was like, I don't want to talk about this stuff. Because it came out of addiction, really. But addiction is something that's in your life. So it would have been there early on. And there's probably lots of signs of problems early on in the early albums. But it was the middle stint. Well, right before this album, the album before this album and this album, those two were me coming into trying to deal with it. But when you do, I guess first step of addiction is like acknowledgement, like saying, okay, I have a problem, you know. But when you do that, it can sure dive you into a bit of a drop in a pit of depression. And so, straight up honest, it was like this album was different than the previous ones because the previous, like, well, because you hit a point of suicide, and then when you come out of it, my whole purpose in life was changed because I came out and I was like, well, I attributed my saving to God and saying like, there's only one reason I'm still here, and I followed my life to here. That was my plan, and it led to death. So it's like, so now here we are on a new one. And so this is different because before I was younger and I was like, I'm going to be a rock star. I'm going to make big songs or whatever, make the hit and get on the road. But for this one, it's like, you know what? I've already led my life. I'm just going wherever I feel the doors are open and where it's led, which was scary because if I was praying and stuff, it was like, just write about it and just put it out, I was like, oh, okay, let's just do it. Because again, I'm trying not to listen to my mind. I'm trying to listen to my heart. And so I guess it's more honest, I guess, because I'm not trying to make a hit necessarily. I'm just writing what I do. And so the songs might follow a nice, good protocol because of the years of experience, and they just naturally do. Somehow they come out at a good radio fit song, but I am just writing it and putting it out. There's a couple songs on there they don't follow real song structure, and I like to do that where it's like, yeah, the song doesn't really have a definitive course or natural song progression, but it's just going. And again, it's just because that's the way the words went. And so
well, so for those who are watching who aren't familiar with you or your music, tell us a little about those songs that don't follow the traditional standard of how one would write a song. What are the names of the songs? What do they deal with? And what are those unique aspects that you feel are in those songs?
I guess Is This the End is the one that comes to my head. It's the fourth song on the album. And there's songs in the past that I kind of do this similar thing where I'll ditch verse, chorus, and it just kind of goes in a story progression. It's almost like an opera maybe or something, where it just starts and it's a story and it goes up and up and up and there's a peak and it might just end. There'd be like an instrumental build in the middle. And when I'm tagging like the lyric structure for Spotify, I'm like, oh, how do you break the song up? I'm like, well, I guess this is the chorus and this is the chorus and this is like a bridge or something. But it's really just a ramp up and it's done. And then there was one I did called I Lost My Mind, where it was, yeah, just the structure, it has repetitious parts, but it moves through sections really. First section, second section, third section, and then it's over. And that's musically how it goes in my head. I'm like, there's really three pieces, which I've done in the past. On the previous album, there's a song called The Walk, which was the same kind of thing. It kind of moved through, and I wrote that one in parts. It had parts. It's hard to do live. Live, it sounds more like a normal song, but on the album, it was like I was singing, and then I did another part behind it, and it was supposed to be like singing in rounds, like old campfire style. So I had to pick pieces to put it together for a live show. But so it just depends how I write it, and then it comes out. But on the new album, it was Is This the End is probably the one that's jumps out the most, which is funny because people like that. I'm like, this will be the song and then you put it out there and people are like, I like that song. It's like,
I can totally understand. Some of the things that I've created as a filmmaker and a photographer in my life, the stuff that I love, people can't stand. The things that I hate, people love. I don't understand it, but art is in the eyes of the beholder, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If I'm a new to Stonehocker listener, and you've got, what is it, 3 other albums out, 4 other albums? I forget the number.
On Spotify, there's only 2, but there was 3 more before that. But one's like the first one I did is nobody's gonna find that. Like it was a handmade cassette thing. I'm trying to figure out, maybe I should put it out again. I don't know.
Well, you never know. I mean, look, there could be some hidden gems, and I mean, now with especially, look, you've got to put out as much content as you can, because it's the world we live in. So if I'm and everyone who watches us knows that I'm a big proponent of buying your music and supporting your artist. But if I'm new to your music, right, and you've got those 2 on Spotify, and I forget, are you on Bandcamp? I think you're on Bandcamp, right? If I'm going to go out looking for you and find your YouTube channel, if there were 2 or 3 songs that you really felt were the, find these first to get to know me songs, right? As someone who's like getting a taste of what you're like, what are those 2 or 3 songs, and why? What do they represent in your stages of growth, right? That are going to pull people in so that they'll listen to the rest of your catalog.
On the latest one, I think it's actually turned out to be, because you write the whole album, and then when it's done, and you're like, there's songs that I'm like, this is a really good song, and people like it. And it was called "When I Break Through." It's actually track 8, I think, and it's a good one for just displaying how I sing nowadays. And I like it because it's a little later in the album, so it's a bit more positive, which is where I am now. And I just like the song structure, just the way it writes. It's a very good rock feel. And then if you go back, the song I really like, there's 2 on Ups and Downs. The big one was "To You," which is a love song for my wife, and but it's a good upbeat song, and I like singing it. I love it live, so that's a good capture of that. Bandcamp is the best for finding all my stuff. Like if you actually want to find all the music I put out, Bandcamp kind of has it all, and that does have the previous albums, not the first one. That's the one I may put out on there when I get the gumption to be like, okay, people, you can listen to this. But it's the furthest back, because you can't even get the CD for the 3rd album. It's sold out and stuff. So the only way to get it is on Bandcamp. But the one before that, "Mail Me a Smile," is the one in the middle that I did with the band, and I'm actually really proud of those songs. Those are some of my favorite songs. The band influenced a very punk influence, so it's a lot more rock and faster, and so it's got a very fun feel. But the songs are just, there's one on the head song is called "Mail Me a Smile," and that's still a great song. And there's lots of songs on there that are very good. They're very reminiscent of how I wrote before coming through what I went through for "Hello, Mr. Hyde." I like "Hello, Mr. Hyde" itself because it's just I like the way it's creatively written. "Hello, Mr. Hyde," "When I Break Through," those are good ones.
So, let's talk about that. You mentioned that when you were you had the band and a little punkier. What are the genres that feed your creativity, and who are some of the artists that you look toward or have listened to in your experience for some inspiration, or for, learning something that you take from that to include in what you create? Meaning, how do you take, where's the influence come from to add to your secret sauce? Who are some of those artists that have really made an impact on you?
The biggest one for quite a while actually has been Young the Giant, of all things. Like, I love their songwriting. It's funny because I go to try to pick, like, you're supposed to do covers when you go live, and I'm like, I should cover Young the Giant because I love Young the Giant, but I don't sing Young the Giant very well, so I don't cover them very much. But I love their music. And when I was mixing even "Hello, Mr. Hyde," that was like my A-B album. Like, how's my mix sounding? well, let's put it against Young the Giant. And it was Mirror Master. That was the album that I loved. I do love Coin, and I knew I loved Coin, but then Spotify told me at the end of the year that I was in their 0.5% of top listeners or something. I was like, okay, I love Coin. I listened to a lot of Coin, although they're a lot more poppy feeling or fun feeling. I don't know if I actually try to write like Coin. I just like Coin. But I love there's an artist I love that I wish I could write more like. Like I love Glass Animals. I love the introduction of the electronic beats, and I was trying to do that more on this, because when I perform solo, I perform with the sample pedal. It's just me on acoustic and the sample pedal. So I don't like a lot of live drum feel. And on this latest album, it is a hired drummer, and it's rock drums put in there. But it's when I bring them live, it's like, oh, there's no drummer. It's just the sample pedal going. And so I love the idea of the more electronic beats and getting really creative with samples and sounds. And I try to do on Hello Mr. Hyde, I did a lot of my sample creation with the guitar. I'd play a part, but then I'd go heavily mess with it or take it and put effects on it and do whatever I could, because I love that Glass Animal sound. I remember hearing Beck and thinking, oh, I like Beck. He was creative, like with what he would do, it put together with loops. And I love Radiohead as an older artist, right? And just I not just their early albums. I like Radiohead as they go through and they get real creative with the way they're writing stuff and so sometimes I wish I was more creative, and I was like, man, I wish I could really stretch the envelope. So maybe that's coming, and I'll get there. I'll be like, okay, this one, we're just gonna blow everything out of the water and go a little crazy, because I like music that just stretches that realm. There's a new artist, Anna Justin, I've been listening to from Seattle, and she does really creative stuff too. Just the way they mix their vocals. My singing's always been the thing. People are like, you have a great voice, and they love my singing. So I try not to mess with my vocals when I mix. Keep it clean and strict, because people seem to like that. But sometimes I'm like, I wish I could just really do something creative with it, But but when I'm done, I'm like, no, I can't. I like it like this. It's what I listen to, and then what I allow myself to create before I'm like, no.
It sounds like, I don't know if you've ever listened to a Liam Finn or not, Neil Finn's son, Neil Finn from Crowded House, but Liam seems to do things that way too. It's like layering on and working with individual notes and then layering on different effects to create something that kind of just builds and builds on itself. So it kind of sounds like you've got a little of that going. With the album being out now a couple months, what are your plans to get out? And are you going to be doing solo acoustic shows? Are you taking the band out? Do you have any tours or runs coming up? What's gonna happen with the remainder of 2025 for you?
It'll be solo shows by the way it's been going, which is I was gonna get the drummer hired. I was gonna get him in on the show and just have me with the acoustic, my sample pedal, and then him playing drums over it. But he's busy as stink, and none of the shows are lining up. So it's been solo, and it's probably just going to be solo, because at this point it's just so much simpler. I book the shows and I just go out and play. So I've been booking solo shows with the sample pedal running into a big setup. The show can sound bigger, so I can open for bands, and it can fill a room a little bit better. Mainly I've been touring or trying to just get out and play across Canada. So the visa application in the States is, there's only so much I can handle.
Trust me, I live down here. There's only so much that we can handle as well. So I totally get it. It's not an easy time to, whether you're in, Canada, or you have to live with what's happened over in the UK and breaking away from the EU and touring. It is much more challenging as an artist to get out and see people and perform. I mean, there's definitely it's not as artist friendly, a lot of these restrictions as one would like. So I totally get it. But there are a lot of places to play in Canada, and hopefully you'll get to play coast to coast. If you had an opportunity, and we do this on every single hang, if you had an opportunity to have a moment, a day with one artist and get in a studio and be creative, doesn't matter if you created one song, an album, if you threw paint on a wall and got to create with them, But who is one artist that if you had a chance to be creative with them, who might that be? Why?
Oh, it would be Young the Giant. You know, because I love their music so much. It's influenced my latest recording so much. And even as an artist who's gone through the addiction, I'm like, oh, and I'm coming out of it because I found God. His latest album, he was recognizing his own family history and where he'd come from and his faith, and he was putting it out in his music, just putting it out there, being honest. I'm like, yeah, cool. We're alternative artists, and this is who we are. We just put it out, and I just I liked his lyric content. I like the way he writes, and I like the whole band, but I think Samir is the singer, and who knows how that would work if I was in a studio. I don't really know how they do it in the studio, but yeah, Young the Giant would be the one because that's the sound I would love.
Let me ask you, with all you've been through, and those are addiction can be a challenge to overcome. How do you find within yourself the vulnerability to share that with your audience? Like, how did you figure out, because you mentioned earlier that there were signs of what you were going through in the addiction in your earlier music, and subconsciously you were writing about things. But once you identified it and determined that you were going to change your path, what was that moment of, I'm going to be vulnerable artistically because I want and know that I need to share this with others?
Well, and I guess I knew I was writing about it in the past a bit, but it was always very metaphorical. Or I'd write and people were like, I don't know what the song's about. I'd be like, I'm not going to tell you. So this latest one was a lot more blunt, and specifically, you probably noticed I always say struggling with addiction. I don't specify it, and that's on purpose, because there's a piece of it you just can't. I'm like, but I'm a big believer that, like, addiction's addiction. Doesn't matter what you're dealing with. So I'm trying to be honest and put it out there, but in the same breath, it's like, but there's a piece of it that's like, it's not going to come out. It's like, that's my own walk, but I feel it's still relevant to just still talk about it, because whether you have addiction to shopping or gambling or alcohol or, the common ones that everybody loves, it's like, it doesn't matter. The steps are the same. And also I think what you go through is the same. And that's a big thing. I would never slight if somebody was like, oh, you just have a shopping addiction. I'm addicted to drugs or something. It's like, there's no difference. I think any addiction can run you right down. And it's like, so on that note, I was like, just keep it. I don't need to be crazy specific because it doesn't matter. It's the core root of the problem that we're talking about.
Yeah, no. I think it's great that you're able to do that. I mean, we live in a world where with social media, people take a post on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, that one single moment is being transparent and vulnerable. But in reality, somebody may have taped that 35 times and you're not getting the same authenticity as you would get when you make a conscious choice to just put it out there and let it be in, out in the world. So I can certainly appreciate that. And I think it takes a lot of strength to find a way within yourself to say, I'm going to tell my story this way because I made it through. It's important to me. And there's opportunity for others to learn my story, possibly grow from it, possibly learn from it, things like that. So I applaud you on that for sure. Certainly not easy.
Thanks. Well, that was, this album was probably the only one that had more of a positive outcome, where I felt like the end was actually moving through. So like if you listen to the whole album, get to the end, it's like there's a good point. There's a final message,
So with this album now being out and that kind of a full circle arc of your life, have you started writing for a new album? Is there other, has you started the creative process to think, okay, beyond where I was and what my future looks like?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Before this album came out, I had some songs starting to get written, because like I said, it just happens. Sometimes, like, there's days I'd be like, before the release, I'd be trying to get posts ready and stuff, like but there's a song in my head right now, and so you start writing again, and you start, and even themes and stuff start to come together. When this album came out, I was already like, I think the next one will be, and so I started to get a theme. But I'm in this transition point where I'm trying to figure out. So is the next album going to be just like this, like solo, alone, do it all, put it out, indie style, or am I going to try to reach out and get some bloody help for this thing, like talk to some small label or something, like, because if you do, I understand they're going to want to be in from the start of a project. Like, they're not going to want to come and be like, oh, sweet, you recorded this album, let's market it for you. So I'm trying to write and have stuff ready, but then in the same breath look and just see what my avenues are, see how's it going to come out. But yeah, I've been writing.
Excellent. No, so there's more to come, and everyone, you've got a back catalog to listen to on Bandcamp. You can go out and purchase his music. We're going to have the links below in the description. And you know that we truly believe in supporting artists. So, while his music is on Spotify, and a great place to start, hear those first few songs that he was telling you about, go to Bandcamp, buy his music, buy his merch. If you live in Canada, because we're not going to get a chance to see him here in the States, go to his shows, see him perform, support Mark, right? It's so important that we support artists. That being said, we like to learn what artists are also listening to and really digging, because I think it's important that we kind of share the love of music. We're all here because we really love it. If we didn't, we wouldn't even have this podcast, right? So Mark, who are some artists that you really enjoy listening to? It could be, something you listen to in the gym, or meditate to, or take a walk in nature, or just some artists that you've currently are your ear candy, that if we were just sitting around having a cup of coffee, you'd be like, my God, you've got to listen to these people. I love them.
The latest, so I do actually like new music. Spotify and those have figured it out. And so they show me tons of new stuff all the time. And like, actually the latest one that I've been loving, I mentioned earlier, was Anna Justin. I just love her sound she had when she was writing and recording. And she does her own recording too, I believe, as far as I've seen on her social media. And she had a new album come out. I think the whole album's out, and I've been liking that. There's other ones like the neighborhood watch I like. There was some that I was curious one day, and I was listening to my own radio on Spotify, and it's neat because then it shows like, this is what Spotify thinks fits with me. And some of them I'm like, I don't know about this, but Rest came up, and it was WREST, and they were an indie rock band from UK or Ireland, but I was like, well, this is amazing, and I'd never heard of them. I thought that was great. So I started listening to them a whole bunch. I still have my classics. When I've been listening to a lot of new music, I'm like, I just want something classic. I go straight to my Coin albums, and I go straight to my Glass Animals and Young the Giant. Actually, Young the Giant, Spotify doesn't know I like them because I own all their CDs. So I keep putting CDs in, and then and Spotify doesn't even like, oh, you like Young the Giant? I'm like, yeah, I just never listened to them on here.
Well, no, I think that's great. And Rust, I've heard them. I've heard their music, but I believe you're the second musician we've actually put those in your three that you're listening to. So I think that's fabulous. They must be getting out there. They must be growing their audience. I think that's fabulous. Everybody, Mark's got a great new album out. It goes by his last name, Stonehocker. The band is Stonehocker. He's going to be out there promoting this through the remainder of the year. He's got some new stuff that he's formulating. He's going to be back in a studio. He's going to be writing again. Please go out and support him and all of the other great artists that you see here on The Hang. It is so important that we as fans of music keep music alive, right? It's without us, where would they be? So buy his music. You've got the links below. Check him out, get his merch, go to his shows, all the bands that we support here on The Hang with Almost Famous Magazine. So until the next time we get a chance to hang again, Mark, thanks so much for hanging with me today. I look forward to looking at seeing how you rise over the next couple of years there in Canada.
Okay, thanks. It was good talking.
Yeah, everything goes well. You'll get a chance to play here in the States.
Exactly. Yeah, so I will come when I can.
Hey, if you come to Texas, I'm here for you. All right, everybody. This has been a lot of fun. Until the next hang, be good, be at peace with one another, listen to some great music, and we'll catch you soon. Bye for now.